In this video, we'll see how to write and graph inequalities. Let's look at a definition first. An inequality. An inequality is just a statement that two expressions are unequal. And we have different signs for inequalities we can look at. We have the less than sign, or we have the greater than sign. We have the less than or equal to sign. We see that it has the little line underneath the less than sign, or of course the greater than or equal to sign, also with the line underneath the greater than sign. Here's an inequality. Y is less than -3. So what are some possible values for y that will make that inequality true? So what could y be? It could be -4, because -4 is less than -3. It could be -11. It could be something like -22 and a third. So how many solutions are there to y is less than -3? There are infinite solutions to this. Alright, since we can't list all those solutions, we graph them on a number line. So I have y is less than -3. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to just mark -3 on my number line. And then I want to consider boundaries for my graph here. So if I see the greater than or the less than sign, I'm going to use this open circle. So I'm going to have a circle that's open, meaning the variable can't be equal to that number. But if I have the greater than or equal to sign or the less than or equal to sign, I'm going to use a filled in or closed circle, because what that indicates is, yeah, the variable could also be that number too, because it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So let's go back to y is less than -3. Well, because it's less than -3, but it can't be -3, I'm going to use the open circle. And I'm going to ask myself, well, what numbers are less than -3? Oh, numbers like -4, -8, maybe -35, right? All the numbers to the left of -3 are less than -3, so I graph my number line accordingly. All right, let's look at some practice problems. A is greater than 5. So again, I want to mark 5 on my number line. And I want to see, is it going to be an open or a closed circle? Well, it's just greater than. It's not greater than or equal to, so I have an open circle. And I want to say, in which direction is this statement A greater than 5 true? Well, if I chose this number 6 here or 10 here, both of those are greater than 5, so my graph is going to move to the right. Next, I have -23 is greater than or equal to h. So again, I just want to mark -23 on my number line. And I choose, what kind of circle do I want here? Open or a closed or filled in circle? Well, because it's greater than or equal to, meaning h could be -23, I'm going to fill in my circle. And I want to say, well, -23 is greater than or equal to what numbers? What's -23 greater than? It's greater than -100, right? It's greater than -200. It's greater than everything that's to the left of -23. All right, I want to write an inequality for the graph now. So first I see what my boundary is, right? It's 4. And then I'm just going to choose any variable I want. So in this case, I'll choose m. Now, I see it's got a closed circle. So I know it's either going to be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. And then I just look at where it's graphed here. I compare 6 and 4. Well, is 6 greater than 4 or is it less than 4? 6 is greater than 4. So everything to the right of 4 is going to be greater than 4. So I'm going to use the m is greater than or equal to, because I see the closed circle here, 4. Next, again, I want to look at my boundary here. It's -2. Choose any variable I want, so I'm going to choose a. And I see an open circle, so I'm just going to use the greater than or the less than sign. So I want to look at one of my numbers here, 0. What's the relationship between 0 and -2? Oh, 0 is greater than -2, so I'll use the greater than sign. All right, here's one for you to do on your own. Which graph represents the inequality x is greater than or equal to 0? Well, notice they are all marked at 0 here. What numbers are greater than 0? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to choose graph C here, because it's got the filled in boundary over 0. And it's highlighting all the numbers that are greater than 0. Next, which graph represents this equality? K is less than -6. Well, I look here, what numbers are less than -6? I'd like to see things like -7, -8 filled in. And also I see the less than sign, so it means I need an open circle. So A is the correct choice here, because that is the graph for K is less than -6. Alright, I want to write an inequality for this graph here. So I see what my boundary is here, right between 0 and 2. I've got 1. Again, I'm just going to choose a variable, so I'm going to choose z. And all these numbers here are highlighted. So what's the relationship between -2 here and 1? Well, -2 is less than 1. So I'm going to use the less than sign. And I'm not going to use less than or equal to because this is an open circle. And last, I want to again write an inequality for this graph. So my boundary is -4. I'm going to choose any variable I want. In this case, I'll choose n. Now, what's the relationship between -4 and these numbers here? So I'll choose one of these numbers that's highlighted, like +4. What's the relationship between +4 and -4? +4 is greater than -4. But because my circle is filled in here, I am going to say it's greater than or equal to -4. So n is greater than or equal to -4. And that's how we write and graph inequalities.